Students, second PUC biology second model paper solutions are here of the year 26-27. First MCQ statement 1, apomixis is a production of seeds from unfertilized ovules. Statement 1 is true. Statement 2, embryos produced from apomictic seeds are not generally identical to the parent plants. Not generally identical is false statement. So statement option A is right answer. The cells that secretes testicular hormone, that is androgen, male sex hormone, the cells are Leydig cells. And third question, which of the following is not a copper releasing IUD? It is LNG20. Then what is a possible blood group of an offsprings when both parents have AB? Then you have option B, blood group A, B and AB. Fifth question, there is a, if an mRNA, they have given one mRNA sequence undergo translation, how many amino acids are possible? It is asking how many amino acids are possible. Now students, as we can see, AUG amino acid. AUG is the initiator codon, it codes for amino acid methionine. Then the remaining codons UUU, they codes for amino acid phenylalanine. Phenylalanine. All these are going to code phenylalanine, whereas last codon UAA, it's a terminator codon, so it will not code for any amino acids. So here we can expect two types of amino acid. One is methionine by initiator codon and remaining phenylalanine from UUU. Now, sixth question, arrange the following animal group in correct sequence of their occurrence in geological time scale. So first evolved fishes, then amphibians, then reptiles and mammals. So option C is the right answer. Antivenom usually contains antibody, preformed antibodies, and the substance produced by the viral infected cells are interferons. And in which of the following because of the presence of which of the following vitamin in the curd? In the curd you can find vitamin B12. Next, mycorrhiza helps in the absorption of phosphorus. 11th question, there is a plasmid diagram. Here A is origin of replication, B is ampicillin resistant gene, C is tetracycline resistance gene, and D is hind3. So option B is right answer for this question. The plants developed by the fusion of protoplasm of two different plants, they form somatic hybrids. In a pond there were 20 lotus plant. Initial plants are 20. In the last year, through the reproduction 16s were added. Now, so new plants added are 16. So when we find out the birth rate, it is 0.8 is offsprings per lotus per year. 14th question, the sequence of the steps of decomposition, FLCHH, means fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification and mineralization. So among the following, which is the following are the in situ conservation approaches except, so here botanical garden is not in situ, it is ex situ conservation. So filling the blanks, right answers I have written, so you can refer here. Now part B questions, part C questions, part D and the last section. All these question answers I have made a simple easy notes for you. Here is a part B, first question, significance of sporopollenin. As we know, sporopollenin is the most resistant organic material in the exine of the pollen grain, and it protects the pollen grain from mechanical and other damages, and there is no enzyme to degrade this sporopollenin. So next question is reasons for the infertility in humans. Any two reasons you remember. It may be the improper functioning of reproductive organs, hormonal imbalance, low sperm count or defective sperm, blockage of oviduct or vas deferens, sexually transmitted diseases, stress, smoking, alcoholism, poor nutrition, age. Any two or four reasons if you remember, you will get 2 marks. Then difference between linkage and recombination. Physical association of gene is called as linkage, and formation of a new gene combination due to crossing over during meiosis is called as recombination. Here is a next 24th question, diagram of nucleosome, histone, octamer you can find, and DNA. Then we have 25th question, comment on the similarity between thorns of bougainvillea and tendrils of cucurbita with reference to evolution. So thorns of bougainvillea are the modified stems and tendrils of cucurbita are modified leaf, but they perform the same function, that is protection and climbing. So they are going to show convergent evolution, and as they are performing same function, they belongs to analogous organs. Next question, what are flocks and significance in the sewage treatment? Flocks are the masses of bacteria associated with fungal filament and they form during secondary treatment. So the significance is they helps in the degradation of organic matter by aerobic bacteria and reduce biochemical oxygen demand. Next, we have a question mention the evil quartet of biodiversity loss. There are four evil quartet: overexploitation, invasion of alien species, co-extinction, and habitat loss and fragmentation. Now we have answers for part C questions. Part C, 28th question, diagram of mature embryo sac. You can see antipodals. Then at the chalaza end and at the micropylar end, you can find egg and two synergids. And at the center, polar nuclei. So very important diagram. You can get 3 marks. Next, we have 29th question. What is placenta and its function? Placenta is a connection between fetus and the mother. It supplies oxygen and nutrients. It removes carbon dioxide and waste, and it secretes some hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin and human placental lactogen, estrogen, and progesterone. So remember, any two you can write. If you'll get marks. 30th question, we have venereal diseases. Venereal diseases means sexually transmitted diseases. They transmitted through sexual contact with the infected person. Example, gonorrhea, syphilis, and AIDS. The mode of transmission of venereal diseases: sexual contact, transfusion of infected blood, sharing of contaminated needles and syringes, transmission from infected mother to the fetus. Then we have 31st question, diagram of Stanley Miller experiment that supports chemical evolution. So this diagram is very important. If you practice, definitely it's a very important question. Then we have 32 question, causative organism for Ascaris. It is Ascaris lumbricoides, typhoid Salmonella typhi, filariasis, Ucheria bronchofti, or Ucheria malai. 33 question, microbes that produce cyclosporin A is Trichoderma polysporum, Streptokinase, Streptococcus, statin, Monascus, Purpurus. And 34th question, this diagram, only this much you have to write: the pyramid of energy, producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumer. Producers 10,000, then primary consumers 1,000, secondary consumer 100, and tertiary 10 units kilocalorie per meter square per year. Now we have part D question answers for 5 marks. You can see 35th question, different outbreeding devices. So these are the different outbreeding devices like unisexuality, dichogamy, hercogamy, heterostyle, and self-incompatibility. If you mention and explain this, you will get definitely 5 marks. Then the diagram of mammary gland, very important to the exam. 5 labelings you remember. Then 37th question, incomplete dominance schematic representation is there. That is very important for 5 marks. Then we have Griffith transforming principle about S strain and R strain. S strain is virulent, that cause pneumonia, and R strain are non-virulent, that does not cause pneumonia. That experiment you need to remember. And 39th question, function of I gene. I gene is a regulator gene. It produces a repressor and it is responsible for switching off and switching on of the genes. Lac Z gene produce beta galactosidase enzyme. Lac Y gene produce permease enzyme. Lac A gene produce trans acetylase enzyme. Inducer here is lactose that inactivate repressor protein. Very easily you can mention. Then we have briefly explained the uses of transgenic animals. It is used to study human diseases. It is used in testing of drugs and vaccines to produce proteins like human alpha lactalbumin, and it is used in organ transplantation research and helps to improve the quality of animal products that you can mention. Then what is mutualism? Explain any four. The example for mutualism includes lichens, rhizobium in legume roots, mycorrhiza, and pollinators, flowers and flowering plants and pollinators. Next, we have 42 question. The sex-linked recessive disorder occurring in about 80% of the males and only 0.4% of the female, leading to defect in cones of the eye is color blindness, and sex-linked recessive disorder affecting single protein involving in clotting of the blood, that is hemophilia. Next is inborn error of metabolism, autosomal recessive triad, accumulation of phenylalanine is phenylketonuria, autosomal linked recessive blood disease, substitution of amino acid in beta globulin chain of hemoglobin is sickle cell anemia, autosomal linked recessive blood disease reduce the rate of synthesis of globulin chain in of hemoglobin is thalassemia. Next question is flowchart of replication of retrovirus like HIV. Here the flowchart is completely written. You can see first, yeah, this was blank. Actually, this was blank. It is viral DNA is formed due to reverse transcription from viral RNA. And B is HIV. Example of retrovirus is HIV. Example of retrovirus is HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. Name the disease caused by the retrovirus is AIDS. And diagnostic technique for the HIV AIDS is ELISA. Next, we have last question. Give reasons for the following. Restriction enzymes are called as molecular scissors because they cut the DNA at a specific palindromic sequence site. DNA ligase is used in genetic engineering because DNA ligase has the capacity to join DNA fragments. And chilled ethanol is used in DNA isolation because DNA is insoluble in a cold ethanol, so it get easily precipitated. Smaller DNA fragments move farther in gel slab because smaller DNA fragments experience less resistance in the gel matrix. And thermostable DNA polymerase used in DNA polymerase in a polymerase chain reaction because it can withstand high temperature. So these are all the important question answers of second model paper of biology. I hope it is going to be useful to you. Thank you, students.